I'm really not used to people combusting all over me. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come is a very unwieldy worded title of the sequel to Ready or Not, Here I Come, with Samara Weaving and her breakout role, Andie MacDowell, Adam Brody, and some great comedy violence, and an ending with exploding bodies. And if that's a spoiler, that means you haven't seen 2019's Ready or Not, and you probably should, because why are you watching the sequel to something that came out a number of years ago? That being said, Ready or Not 2019 was a surprise hit that launched the career of Samara Weaving, who really is a great horror, soon to be potential icon, or at least somebody that is very good at horror. She just sometimes will, get involved in projects such as Azrael that are not as good as her talents, but I digress. Samara Weaving really had a lot of fun in this. She's bright, she's hilarious, she's gorgeous, and she returns for the sequel to this surprise hit. A film that is very entertaining. I rewatched it recently. Love Andie MacDowell. God, do I ever. Boy, Margaret Qualley, you can definitely tell that that is her daughter. But it has life and energy and enthusiasm. And involved Grace, played by Samara Weaving, who marries into a family, the La Dummas, that want to go through a ritual with her. She has to draw a card. She draws a card, and they play whatever game it is. She draws a bad card, it's hide and seek. And then she basically has to survive until dawn. If they don't kill her before then everybody could potentially be dead by dawn. And then, of course, the ending that everybody remembers. They all explode, and she is left just picking up the pieces. Picking up the pieces. And speaking of picking up, the sequel immediately picks up right as this one ends, right as she is sitting there smoking a goddamn cigarette, and somebody says, what happened to you? In-laws. We basically get the continuation of this. Literally, picking up, I think we just got a deleted goddamn scene, or just an extended version of that ending. And because her adrenaline finally wore off and all the injuries she had, she is taken away in the hospital. While in hospital, her sister, played by the incredibly funny, hilarious, and gorgeous Kathryn Newton. My goodness, what an absolute just great woman she is. Lisa Frankenstein, she was even in Abigail. Kevin Durand returns from Abigail as well. So there's, some Abigail ties. No, ballerina vampire, but whatever. When I saw Samara Weaving and Kathryn Newton were going to be in this, I'm like, okay, I'm fucking sold. And rewatching, still enjoyed it. I didn't end up rewatching the first, that is, I didn't end up, loving it as much as some people do, but I loved parts of it, and I liked so much of it that I still recommend you watch Ready or Not. It's just a boatload of fun, even with its issues, and I was excited to see what they would do with a sequel. And Samara Weaving and Kathryn Newton, despite some issues and inconsistencies with how the characters are presented, do have good on-screen chemistry, and are able to basically carry most of this movie. Elijah Wood plays a lawyer who basically lords over this new game of hunters with various family members, two of the Danforths, after their dad, David Cronenberg, meets an unfortunate end, or their dad, played by David Cronenberg. We have Sarah Michelle Gellar as Ursula, and Titus, played by Sean Hatossi, who has been in some horror stuff before. Take a look. And we do get some other characters, a little montage of these characters getting introduced, plucked from various locations. Some bring their kids, one brings their wife. And the idea is basically these hunters now must kill the bride, because now it's basically double or nothing. Whoever wins this game survives till dawn, another game of hide and seek, controls everything. Everything, the world. Meaning if, Grace somehow survives, maybe she could end up doing that and bringing about a new generation, and there we are. So, yeah, for those that like the first Ready or Not, your mileage may vary on this particular flick. I unfortunately was very disappointed by this. Samara and Kathryn are great. There are a couple parts where this movie threatens to get fun, but then everything just feels so safe and so stagnant, and even while trying to up the stakes, it feels forced. None of this really feels organic like the first one, and I understand what they were trying to do, but that fun factor just is not there anymore. I did like this one, character played by Olivia Chang, who, my God, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, good grief, what a woman that she is. And there are other parts where I'm like, okay, there's something here, but the villains, or villain in particular, the hunters aren't really distinct. Even though we didn't know a ton about the people in Ready or Not 2019, at least they had some character development. In this one, I don't know, everything just feels like, and then, this character did this, and okay, and then it has an obvious ending where, it is what it is. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And really, again, besides Samara and Catherine, I didn't end up thinking that this was necessarily great. It's in theaters if you want to check it out right now, so there you go. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So yeah, after David Cronenberg slaps his son Titus, he says, get this over with, because I don't want to be part of this goddamn madness. Because now they're all locked in this pack of this label. Hi, college boy. But that is one deep cut reference to a goddamn MST3K. But basically, David Cronenberg slaps his son, and then his son takes a little bit too much enjoyment out of smothering him. Indication of what we're going to get from Titus a little bit later. There is Olivia's character who has a son that's... He's a bit too much of a gamer, I believe. Bit too wrapped up in his Switch or whatever game system that was. There's a couple brothers that seem to be very, very rich. One that has a wife. And there's a sniper guy that I actually thought from the trailer was Irish, but I believe he's Hispanic. And his daughter shows up. His daughter that turns out to actually be the ex of Alex. Grace's now dead husband. And before he met Grace, this ex, thought that he was the one and everything, and that she was going to get married to him. So now there's a bit of a jealousy there. So, okay, that's not bad. Also, Catherine and Samara, they're sisters. Grace and Faith do not get along. By the way, that's Catherine's character name, Faith. Grace and Faith. Do you get it? Do you fucking get it? So, they don't get along, due in large part to the fact that Grace left when she was 18 and left Faith behind. Faith always felt abandoned. It actually turns out they lived somewhat close to each other. Faith has lied a little bit about her lavish lifestyle. Grace hasn't been as forthcoming about some stuff too. So, yeah, as this goes on, they have to basically work together. Even though they do end up having some ill-timed arguments, it is what it is. There's one part earlier before all this when they get trapped in this game. Kevin Durand just does some cocaine, Gino Hernandez style, and then explodes, Gino Hernandez style, except he didn't explode. That was fun. Catherine Newton's legit reaction to the blood was great. Hard to look hot covered in blood, but she does it. I don't know what's wrong with me. And it is funny where, Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton end up, gassed, and then they end up tied up and ball gagged in chairs. And usually I'm on the receiving end of that from Dirty Blondes, or at least that's what you could think. Stop thinking about what the fuck's wrong with you. My private life should stay private, I say, on video for everybody to hear. But now Grace has to basically protect her sister. And also, there's this underlying thing of the Danforth. Ursula wants to control this whole thing because if you control this, you control the world. The Danforths are powerful, but other family members want a shot at that whole thing. And also Elijah Wood is just there with the book and says, whoever wins this gets this ring. Oh, great. Elijah Wood and rings. That always is a recipe for goddamn disaster. No Gollum, but the little kid kind of reminded me of Gollum with out the makeup. Oh, wait, that was an Andy Serkis character. So, yeah, let's just move on from that. They are kind of at odds because they're brother and sister, but Ursula wants to control that. But Titus does indicate that he's evil early on, but then it takes a bit to really go with that. But we do end up getting some moments of fun, but then we get one moment that right away reminded me of The Strangers Prey at Night. There's parts where people explode, like Olivia's character ends up inadvertently killing the sniper guy, and then she ends up exploding. He ends up dying. By the way, if you kill another hunter, your entire bloodline, I guess. And right before that, Olivia tried to marry, or get Grace to marry her son, that he's an idiot, but he's not a bad guy, but it's the lesser of two evils, that kind of stuff. If the offer was to marry Olivia, I would have. I'm just saying that. I know her character was Juan, I believe. I mean, that's the type of woman that you take care of. That's the type of woman you romance and you wine and dine and whatever. And she doesn't know me and I don't know her. But that being said, absolute smoke show that she is. So moving on from that. Despite all the sniping that these sisters are doing with each other and the explosions and all this, we get one brother that ends up getting killed in a washing machine, which is kind of hilarious. And then the other brother signs all his assets over to his wife. So his wife's going to go in the field. And then his wife basically drives the SUV straight out of the goddamn gate and leaves. So I'm just curious, though. I know she's married into the family, but wouldn't that by default mean that she would explode in the car since she abandoned the game? I have so many questions here. But we don't see her again, so potentially she's just out there to spend the fortune. And it's really down to Ursula and Titus, especially Titus, targeting Grace and Faith. Now the X does target Grace for a bit. We do get a part with the Strangers Pray at Night flashback with total eclipse of the heart. And they're they're hitting each other. There's this part with pepper spray that was something that was shown by Faith just a bit before. And then the X shows up with a rocket launcher that she aims backwards because she's not very smart. And then the pepper spray thing, they both end up blind. Grace puts water in her eyes. I thought milk took care of pepper spray better. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. But she hits her with a keyboard and knocks her out. Meanwhile, Faith is getting the shit beat out of her by Titus. And this is right after Faith could have left, but she saved, Grace from being stabbed in this shoulder by Sarah Michelle Gellar. Actually, she didn't save her from being stabbed in the shoulder. She saved her being stabbed in the goddamn neck. But then Titus finds her, starts beating the shit out of her. And even though she gets a low blow in and some stuff, Ursula's like, we could actually use her if you don't kill her, and sees, how violent he is. To be fair, Faith was making some comments towards him, but again, not a lot of this really feels earned. And also, Sean is Titus. He's a decent actor. Titus is not a good character. And the idea is now Grace just wants to go full on commando. Everything. She wants to basically just do something where she's tired of being basically pushed around. Because she's just done with it. She gets a shotgun with some shells that actually work, unlike the first movie. She blasts the goddamn X, said back around 2, bitch. Yep, blast her a few times. And then gets in there, finds out about Grace, or finds out about Faith. The little boy that looks like Gollum, does a double, handgun, machine gun thing. This is sounding more fun than it actually ends up playing out. She ends up basically locking herself in a freezer, and then Titus basically threatens to kill Faith unless she comes out. And you know what? Grace says, I'll do that if you marry me. Because Olivia earlier had said about marrying her son, if you marry, everything's fine. You can live. We'll control the seat, that kind of stuff. So now Titus will get a chance to control the seat. So there you go. There you are right there. So people have exploded. People have killed hunters have killed other hunters. And now the time is to have a wedding. But before that, Ursula basically tells her, hey, here's the thing. If you help me, we can control Titus and we can control the world because Titus is not a good guy. Titus then goes full on Super Saiyan almost, or full on just able to hear like through walls. And he ends up strangling his goddamn sister. And all that. And there's nothing against killing a family member in the book. Remember that. They go have the wedding. They have a little blood signing deal, whatever. And there's a goat that's there, the sacrificial goat. They open up the pit. Now it's just a pit of goat parts. The horns in particular. More on that in a second. But Grace is going to get married. And, is going to do this. And even if it's married Titus, at least she's going to live. Her sister's going to live, all that. I have to say, Catherine Newton looks fabulous, by the way, in this scene. But they sign and everything. And then she ends up stabbing and just killing Titus. I mean, just stabbing him and making him bleed out and everything. Takes the ring. And there's nothing in the rules against killing a family member. She got him. Now she controls this stuff. And she's going to control all this by immediately giving up that power. Because one thing the lawyer said was, if nobody contains that ring or has that ring by, the time dawn hits, Mr. LaBelle is going to be very upset. I just like to think of Mike LaBelle, the former California promoter, running this thing. It's just funnier if you get Judo Gene LaBelle running it would be better. Is he still alive? That being said, we get deep cut for wrestling historians. Otherwise, nobody else gets it. But she says, oh, when is dawn? Oh, it's about 3 minutes is what the lawyer said. And then Rosie and Jamal, oh, maybe not. Rico's the only one left alive. Enough wrestling references. She decides, hey, go get it, you fuck. She throws it in the pit. And then everybody is diving, trying to get this damn thing. Now, mind you, it seems like more than 3 minutes went by. But eventually, somebody tries it. They're stabbing, this kind of stuff. It's sounding more fun than it actually is. Elijah Wood steps back. And then they're going to go. They get the goat, by the way. They're going to free the goat because the goat's innocent. Goat had no idea what was going on. And then, boom, it's all this big old explosion. Just these explosions, and this big old explosion of blood. And that's it. And then they leave. Elijah Wood says, you're free. And one running gag through this, or at least an attempt at a running gag, is that Grace just wanted that cigarette. And she got that cigarette. And now the sisters are together, and I think that's it. I don't think we need to do another Ready or Not. I really don't. I think it'd be very unnecessary if we did. This gets a C+, and that's a generous C+, because I wanted to go lower. But I thought, there's some fun moments. It's just not that great. It's really not. Check out Project Hail Mary, by the way. Check out my review, and then check out, up to the spoiler part. And then go check out that movie, because it's really fucking good. This just ends up kind of being a middle-of-the-road sequel. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland. Until we see the hide-and-seek champion worthwhile, or run wild again. Let's do that. I gotta come up with a better goddamn outro. Happy trails to you.